Okay, so are you ready to like really get into something different today?
Oh, yeah.
All right, so we're going to go deep on some song lyrics that you sent over.
Uh,
And now, before you think this is going to be like a music theory lesson,
okay.
it's not.
Right.
We're using the lyrics almost like as a lens to explore how a place can kind of shape who we are as people.
Oh, that's interesting.
So think of it like as place and identity, but set to like this classic 80s power ballad.
Hmm.
And the song that we are unpacking today is LA Story.
Okay, I know that one.
Yeah. And it's
Yeah.
full of all those like, you know, iconic LA images, sunshine, palm
A
trees,
whole dream.
whole like California
But
dream.
a lot of places with a big reputation are often more complex than that image, right?
Right. That's
And the lyrics of LA Story, I think, hint at that right away.
Yeah, so let's jump into so like first verse we get this like, postcard perfect image of LA,
Yeah.
but then boom, nothing's ever what it seems.
Yeah.
You ever felt that about a place?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Where the surface didn't quite match what you found underneath.
It's that contrast that makes places so fascinating, right? Like, take a city that you've lived in or visited, and you're just like, whoa, this is different than what I expected.
Yeah. Were you surprised by it?
Was it bigger, smaller, louder, quieter than you thought it would be?
Yeah.
And then those first impressions kind of lead to, a deeper understanding.
Right. And I think it's almost like the city itself becomes a character,
Yeah, that's true.
which is exactly what kind of happens in the pre-chorus.
Okay.
LA gets a heartbeat, it has secrets, it has a rhythm.
Yeah.
But this isn't just like a songwriter being artsy, is it?
No, not at all. Cities really do have personalities formed by their history. The way they're laid out. The people who live there, think about a city that's built on like a grid system and one that's built on like these winding old streets, and the people that are attracted to each one of those, that creates such a different energy.
Absolutely. And you mentioned in your notes that you are thinking about a big move soon.
Yeah. I,
Do you think being in a totally different environment could change your own rhythm, even just a little bit?
oh, absolutely. I mean, you're always in conversation with your surroundings, right? Whether you realize it or not, they shape our routines and how we interact with other people and even how we see ourselves.
And speaking of seeing ourselves, let's talk about the chorus and that line, land of make-believe. It just screams LA, doesn't it?
It captures that image perfectly. I think about the entertainment industry, the whole idea of reinvention. LA has this reputation for letting people create new identities for themselves.
Which makes me wonder, is that what draws the narrator to LA in the song?
Oh, that's an interesting question.
Do you think they're trying to like become someone new or discover who they already are or a little of both?
Mm.
What do you think, knowing your own reasons for moving?
I think it's probably a little of both, right? Our surroundings can bring out different sides of us for sure, but we also bring our own hopes and dreams to a new place.
It's a fascinating dance between the two.
It is.
And then the second verse, I feel like it gets more personal, talking about love, strangers, fleeting moments.
Yeah.
It captures that kind of bittersweet feeling of how intense but fragile things can be in a city.
That's the paradox, right? Cities can magnify everything. The joy, the heartbreak, the loneliness, the connections. All those feelings are just heightened.
It's interesting how that feeling even comes through in the music itself.
Totally.
Like a power ballad, with its
Yeah.
soaring vocals and all the drama.
Yeah.
It really mirrors that yearning for connection.
What do you think? Is there a particular song or musical style that reminds you of a city that you've spent time in?
Oh, absolutely. Music is so deeply tied to place. Think about blues being born from the Mississippi Delta or hip hop from the streets of New York.
Yes, yeah.
Music captures the soul of a city in such a powerful way.
Okay, hold on, because the bridge of this song, I think, is where things get really good.
Okay.
We get these contrasting images. Whispers versus roar chaos versus salvation. Yeah, this is where I think the song really acknowledges those contradictions of city life, that overwhelming energy, but also the potential for finding what truly matters.
Yeah, and the lyrics talk about finding salvation in that chaos.
Mm.
What rituals or practices help you find that same feeling of clarity in your own busy life? What creates that stillness for you?
That's such a good question to reflect on. Whether it's a physical space, a mental practice, or a creative outlet, finding that space is so essential.
Yeah, and that search for something genuine continues in the third verse.
Okay.
The lyrics repeat this idea of searching for love for something real amidst all the fantasy of LA.
It really raises this question that I think we all face, especially in a world of carefully curated images. How do we know what's real, what's authentic, not just in LA, but everywhere?
So what's the takeaway for you as you're thinking about this move? What stood out to you in how this song portrays the relationship between a place and who we are?
I think the biggest takeaway is that places aren't just backdrops to our lives, right? They shape our stories, our relationships, and our entire understanding of who we are in the world.
And as we wrap up our dive into LA story, I'm curious if you had to pick one song lyric that captures the heart of the city you're moving to, what would be?
Oh, wow. That is a tough one.
I know.
Let me think about that. I'm going to have to get back to you.
All right, sounds good.
I'll let you know.
Awesome. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive.
Thanks for having me.
And we'll see you next time.
See ya.